because I'm on my way over to the apartment, and I just kind of want to update y'all on some things, like what he's doing and how he's doing, I guess. Um, he's still learning how to manage his own care in a lot of ways. And one of the things I think he needs to understand is he needs to be honest about how he's feeling sometimes. Um, I'm trying to convince him that it's okay not to mask. Like, up until a certain point when he came to live in Atlanta, he was presenting a certain kind of way of being that he wasn't actually real. And I mean, there were some certain things, but I mean, I think he was trying to pretend like he was well when he really wasn't as well as he was. Okay. And I think he needs to start learning how to know what his triggers are and if he needs something to help him with. Okay. And I only say that to say because of what happened yesterday or the last 24 hours, 48 hours. Um, One thing that I've noticed about him is that he gets really excited about things that'll say, oh, we're going to do this or whatever. He gets so excited that he ends up, first of all, staying up all night, and he should not be. Um, just think about like a little kid. You know, if you tell a kid like, oh, you're going to go to the circus next week, that child is up all night, just night one. And that's my brother. Like, if I tell him that we're going to do something fun or whatever, or I'm going to take him somewhere the next day, he's like super like not anxious but excited. But then all that energy also can turn into anxiety, and that's what I think what happened last night and yesterday, because had this plan, this event that he could go to. I didn't want to film it because, you know, I just feel like he needs somewhere he could be where he could be himself. He took his medication way too early in the day. In fact, it was in the middle of the night, quite honestly. And I noticed, I tried to point out to him, like, hey, I can tell you're not okay because you're writing, doing like he does scribble writing when his body is really starting to be affected by his mental health. He has told me this while he was more calm, that that's a way for him to kind of not have it pent up in his body, which I'm like, okay, that's cool. So the other night, though, it was in the middle of the night, which I didn't appreciate. He was up doing random stuff, and he had not, and I went to bed early, quite honestly. So sometimes I just have to, but I woke up, and then I hear him rambling around in the kitchen or whatever, and I just happened to just think, like, you know what, let me go check. Yeah, he did not take his medicine, his evening medicine that he should have taken around between 6 and 8. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. He hadn't taken it. And so I was like, hey, whatever you're trying to eat or drink or whatever right now, you know, you didn't take your medicine. And he was like, oh, like, and that's where I know he genuinely did forget. Um, so I think he went ahead and took it with his, I don't think he took it with his morning tea because I give him his morning tea with some other supplements in it. But yeah, so he took the nighttime medicine, but it was in the middle of the night though. And so by the morning, he also, yeah, what I think what had happened was earlier in the week he took it in the middle of the night. I got him right back, set back, but then something else happened where again he took his morning medicine in the middle of the night or way too early, because sometimes he is up all night. And I have clocks in the apartment where he should know what time it is, but his phone was charging. Yep, I made that was a fail on me. His phone, not his phone, his watch was charging, and so he didn't have his watch on, so he didn't really know exactly what time it was. So he took the medicine, the morning medicine, I would say easily before 4 o'clock in the morning, which means it would have worn off way early in the middle of the day. Okay, so this was yesterday. And I kind of had a feeling that, you know, I was in for something later today, that day, yesterday, and I was. Because he seems like his typical self, his normal self, but then he's also super amped. And that's where it's like, I'm not sure at any point in time he might get triggered and he starts a big reaction, whether it's irritation or anxiety or whatever. So he seemed okay, like I said, in the apartment. We're about to go to the event. I tell him it takes about an hour to get there through the traffic, and he's okay with that. And then he tells me that he had a stomach, like he also had a stomach problem this week too. So a lot of that I think has came into play. So yeah, so he said, "Oh, my stomach still has some problems, and I had the diarrhea again. Sorry, TMI, y'all." But I was like, okay, so we didn't have any Pepto in the house, so I was like, all right, well, we'll just get some on the way up there, that kind of thing. And he was like, okay. He seemed totally okay getting into the car, but it wasn't until I got into the car and I started to realize he wanted direct traffic, which sometimes he does that anyway. That's a man thing, I think. He wanted to tell me how to drive my own car in a city he's never lived in, which I've lived in for 20 years. So yeah, so he was like, oh, you can turn here. It's like, sir, I've lived here for 20 years. Thank you, but no thank you. And you don't drive. Okay. Um, but then, yeah, I could tell his behaviors starting to get a little bit more unpredictable. I tried to let him sit in the car while I went into the drugstore to get the stuff, and he was like, "No, I want to come with you." I was like, "But it's going to take a few minutes." And then it's rush hour traffic. Everybody's doing their thing in Atlanta. I'm trying to give him a heads up that people are. It's like this is a busy time, and a lot of people are around, and that's what I've learned about him. He gets really anxious when there's too many people around, and that's the one thing that I don't think he recognizes in himself is that he is really agitated by too many people around him, too many sounds and all the other stuff. So anyway, we go in. Drugstore luckily is not as crowded as I thought it would have been or could have been. So I try to run in there real quick. He tried to sibling almost fight about what to get because he was like, I don't want that. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I go get the stuff, get in line. He's still trying to act the fool a little bit. And then I guess maybe he needed to do that. Then a little whatever. Um, on the drive up there. And again, I'm just like, I've lived here for 20 years and I know where I'm going and I know this traffic. So please stop telling me how to drive. So there's that. So there's still like some sibling stuff in there. And while he's having a anxious episode, I'll just say that. So we get there. We're there on time. We're actually right before it's opening up. And this is again where he doesn't like standing in line. He doesn't like, well, I've never seen him in other situations where he had to stand in line before or wait. And he has a big problem with that. And so come up there, and like I said, we are there before they are actually open. And he's like, well, why is everybody like he's really like going into it now to the point where I'm thinking he probably doesn't want to go now. And he's complaining and he's acting out. And I just tell him, well, at any point in time you want to leave, we'll just go. And I'm not being mean about it because I feel like that is a reaction of fear and he's just showing it as anger. So one of the things I mentioned, I was like, it's not even opening yet. It's not opened yet. And he's like, oh, so sometimes you just got to lay out the facts. It's like, well, that's why people are in there because the doors aren't open yet. So then he's, wandering around, middling around. He's complaining like, oh, people gotta wait, blah, 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 and he's starting to have reactions now because I know his medication had worn off. Had worn off at this point, and I did not want to give him his evening medicine for this event because I'm trying to get him back on track. And so yeah, so we get there. We're in the line is starting to form and everything, and he's still trying to grumble. Meanwhile, like people are starting to be let in, and I'm thinking he wants to leave, but no, he actually pushes through and gets in before I do. Okay, so now I'm starting to realize, okay, so he he just wants to grumble, but then he has a fit on top of it. So this is something for me to remember that I have to make plans for, because he's done this a couple of times at doctor's appointments too, where he doesn't want to sit there and wait, and he gets nervous and he starts having reactions. All right, so I actually lost him for like an hour, but I knew he was in there because I will say the event was a great event for people who have special needs, people with differently abled bodies and mental uh, disabilities of that nature. And luckily, their exit, they're not letting anybody out without like a caregiver. So I was like, okay. So that gave me a good almost hour and a half of just chilling for myself. And I was like, I needed this, y'all. Y'all have no idea. But anyway, so I went and had some food, and I guess he went off into the other part and did his thing. Um, but again, unmedicated. But that tells me that's why I'm doing this whole nutritional thing. Like on some level, he can control some of the things, and it's sometimes where he has triggers. And I think just being around a lot of people he doesn't know is a trigger. And standing in line is a trigger. So a lot of these things are just the triggers he needs to start recognizing in himself that I am seeing, that if he spoke up and said something about, he could be help himself and advocate for himself. And he's never had that ability or awareness that he has that ability before. I'm trying to help him. I was like, listen, if you feel like you don't want to be here, then we can go. Or if you're feeling nervous or anxious or angry or irritable, any of those things, let me know. We can go, or I can figure out something for you. But I don't know. It takes some time. It'll take some time working on him with that. And he's still, and in that vein, that's why now I see, even though he did ask to go see a therapist, that whole process on that particular day ended up not working at all because he was too scared to go. And like I said, I got to work on something to get him there. Not being afraid to get going there. Okay. All right. So yeah, I need to head out. I need to go drop off some of this stuff in the apartment, and I still need to go to the library for the next week. And I don't plan on spending the night over here because I want to get my rest. And that was the other thing. My I switched my schedule around last semester. I had so much to do. I had to be at my house, and this is when he still had a phone. He did throw his phone away, and that's another reason why I'm there more, because he doesn't have a phone, and he threw it away. And he's griping about not having a phone. Even last night, he tried. Okay, I'll just say he had fun at the event last night. We got back here. I'm getting ready. I didn't tell him I wasn't staying. I kept my jacket on and all this other stuff. I was just making his tea or whatever for the next day. And he was, just chit-chatting and whatever. And now I could tell he was starting to get agitated again. Luckily, I'd already put his medicine in him. And I was like, gotta go, deuces. But yeah, I need to learn how to, when he switches into weird mode, I need to learn how to switch him out, because there is a way to switch him out. And I did it last night, but I don't remember how exactly I did it. But I did it and I dipped. So, because I don't want to engage in trying to start an argument. I'm trying to talk to him logically, and he logically always. So yeah. So I made his little tea for the morning. Made sure he had his medicine for the morning. Hopefully you took it. This is another thing I'm checking on to see, did you actually take it this morning or not? We got to get you back on track. And yeah, that's where we are. So it wasn't a terrible week, but it definitely, now he did clean his room, and that was unmedicated. So again, a lot of this stuff is just like throw me for a loop. So I don't know. That's why the other video it's a tricky thing. This mental illness is very tricky. But I need to tell him, okay, I do want to take him out again, not this weekend, to distract him from the phone that he keeps saying he wants, but he threw the one that I had already got for him away into the garbage. I was so upset by that because I was paying the bill. And now I'm telling him, it's like, if you want a phone, you're paying for it and you're paying the bill. And now he's freaking out. Okay. So that's just me blowing off some steam. But for real, like, I'm not going to pay his phone bill anymore if you're going to just miss. Like, it's a financial issue for me at this point because I am spending more than what his SSI is affording him. And he doesn't realize money costs money. Like, things cost money. Okay. And it's not clicking for him. He just thinks, oh, it's my money. It's like, yeah, for your food and rent. It goes fast. Okay. It's not clicking. All right. Yeah, my plan is to drop off the stuff, and if he's in there, I'll be like, what's up? And make sure he has his pills for the morning and check to see if he took his medicine. If he's not in there, again, I'm just checking to see, did he take his medicine, re-up his medicine, and run to the library. All right. Take care, y'all.